Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and we've got some details here on the reward system for the brand new endorsement system. Now, the endorsement system, just to give it a quick recap, this is on the PTR right now, and what this lets you do is give positive reports to players on your team or the enemy team for being a good shot caller, for sportsmanlike behavior, or for just being a generally good teammate. This is awesome, and what this does is it gives like positive reinforcement. So if you are a shot caller, so maybe you're like the tank player and you're like, guys, let's go bottom left when you're attacking Numbani first point, then when you say that, and if it works, and then the rest of the game goes well, your teammates might actually reward you for doing that. And there's no way you get rewarded for that right now in the game. Of course, if you win the match, you could say, well, that's your own reward. But this system gives you a sort of a badge of honor for that, which is so cool. Anyway, what are the rewards? And we've actually got some further details here from Scott Mercer, who is the principal game designer on Overwatch. Now, he's been in Korea and he's actually done a very interesting interview here. Now, this is on Inven Global. There is a link to this in the video description. Great work by those guys. What we're going to do, though, in this video is go over this and take a deep dive, because this gives us a lot of information on what's going on with the system and how it might evolve in the future. Okay, so he was asked, will the endorsement level increase for those who vote? If so, how will the endorsement level increase based on voting versus receiving votes? And Scott said, voting will increase a player's level XP and will not have any influence on the player's endorsement level itself, which is fine. So you get a really small XP reward. You get 25 XP when you vote for somebody, when you give them an endorsement. And obviously you can do this 3 times a match. So that's 75 XP, which is pretty easy. Now, you can't endorse the same player in a 12-hour period. So you can't abuse this and just keep endorsing your friend over and over again. Anyway, Scott goes on. He was asked the question, what Overwatch players are curious about the most right now would be probably what kind of rewards will be given out to players who voted and players with high endorsement levels. Can you give us details on it? Also, what ways are there for players who have fallen to 0 level to make it back to level 1? And are there any plans to use this endorsement level as part of matchmaking in the future? This is a brilliant question. And this is what Scott says. We are thinking of rewarding players with things like extra loot boxes based on player endorsement levels at random intervals. If a player has fallen to level 0, they can gain back their levels little by little as they keep on playing. If they get endorsed in the process, they will be able to recover their levels even quicker. Also, players cannot set their endorsement level to private in the settings, and it will be one of the things that will be shown to other players. The leaders of your group will be able to see it while looking for members in their group, and this could work as a way for them to decide whether to accept players in their group or not. So that's cool, right? So obviously we're going to get extra loot boxes here, which is pretty cool as additional rewards. Anyway, Scott goes on to say, in truth, many of our developers are against fixing the endorsement level cap at 5, although it will be quite difficult for players to even hit endorsement level 5 right now. We are currently testing several things, such as endorsement level cap and the rate at which the endorsement level will decrease, which again is cool. Obviously all of this stuff is brand new, and so they need more data. So I think what will happen is when this hits the live servers, then we'll get to start seeing changes to how many endorsement levels there are. Maybe there'll be 10, maybe there'll be 15, how fast we can go through these endorsement levels, how fast decay sets in, and all of this extra stuff, which they just can't really test on the PTR because there isn't really enough players to do that. Anyway, the interview goes on. Is there any reason behind having the groups made before entering matchmaking instead of entering matchmaking automatically? And Scott says, it's like the Dungeon Finder in World of Warcraft. We went for this form of grouping since we focused on players being able to find teammates more thoroughly before entering a match. See, I kind of I like this, and I also don't like this. I would really like to be able to just go into solo queue and say I want to play a tank, and then while I'm just waiting for matchmaking as it's rolling around, it just throws me into a group automatically. That would be a good solution. This system we've got right now where you can set a group, but the actual people who want to join your group have to scroll through the group list is not that great. It would be better for those players to just smash the play button and say, I want to play in a group that is voice chat, set roles, and I want to be a tank. If you could do that, I think that would be pretty good. So yeah, but again, it's early implementation, so this stuff could change in the future. So then the questions go on, and they say there must be cases where players will want to change the group settings after they've already created a group. For example, they might have created a group with 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports, but might want to change to 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 2 supports. What would they have to do in that case? And Scott says they can change the group settings in the lobby once the game has ended. Also, as well, to get around this, if you are, maybe you might want to use a triple support comp or instead of a double support, you can actually set roles so they're not defined, which means that they're not enforced even. So it means even if you do have 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS, you can still form a comp of like 3 supports in that game if people are willing to do it, because they're not restricted to the type of heroes that they're playing. So there are ways around it, but it is a valid question, because it does mean a lot of games that start up with this new system, you will have a comp and it will be kind of difficult to change from that comp in a lot of cases, unless obviously your team are really flexible and willing to do that. So then they go on to ask him about profile policy, and this is what he says. We were told that this discussion was happening in the Korean Overwatch community, so that developers are currently considering it. We know that player profiles could be a measure for players to find out whether certain players are abusers or not, so we will have to discuss it further. Now, this was about boosting and throwers and one-tricks in Korea, because obviously this is a massive problem. So looking at the profile means that you could maybe detect one easier. If they can hide their profile, it means if they're hackers, if they're like a Widowmaker with 100% headshot accuracy, then yeah, they're probably going to get banned, right? Or you can probably report them for being a hacker. But if they hide their profile, then you'll never know. The thing is with Overwatch is you don't generally see hackers like that often, because the game's really good at detecting them anyway. So I don't think it's that much of an issue. And then they go on to say, there seem to be several steps to the player penalty process now. However, is there anything you're preparing when it comes to encouraging abusive players to become better? And Scott says, actually, we think the endorsement system will be the key to bringing out the goodness in players. The endorsement level is something players will be able to see right away after levels, so players won't be able to ignore it, which is totally fine. Like, I think that's great. And I do think this will bring out the goodness in players. That's a very nice way of putting it, because what this is good game design to give positive reinforcement to players for doing positive things. So these players are being rewarded for being good teammates instead of, effectively being rewarded for doing whatever the hell they wanted, which was the case in the past, I guess you could say. And then finally they say, will the social features added to Overwatch be added to other Blizzard games? And he can't really answer that, but this is what he does say. The team that came up with those social features have the same duty for several other games. I think applying these features to other games won't be a problem technically, and we will consider adopting these features if they are needed, which I guess is what it comes down to, right? It's if these features are needed. You can't just slam them into another game and just hope for the best, can you? Yeah. There was also talk that potentially in terms of rewards, there would be things like discounts on skins. That could actually be quite interesting. So if you've got a high endorsement level, then maybe you get a 20% discount to buying items in the game. I think that would be really, really cool. And it'd be a way for the game to say, hey, you're a positive player and we really like you and we really want you to keep playing this game. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. It's a brand new system, the endorsement system is, and I think it's good for the game. We obviously haven't covered LFG in this video. There is a video coming in the future which does go into more detail on that, but in terms of straight up design, I think this is great. I feel really giddy, really happy when people endorse me. It's like, wow, I've been endorsed for being a shot caller. I feel so happy. I'm so proud of myself. So it is great to get that reinforcement, especially when it's off your fellow teammates. Guys, I've been Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. Let me know what you think about the new endorsement system. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Just go crazy in the comments below. And I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. Toodaloo.